In this video, I'm going to share a concept I'm working on called Meeting Central. It's a way to schedule and work with Zoom meetings. So on the screen here, you can see I've got an Airtable, and this solution is comprised of an Airtable, Make scenario, and Zoom, as well as a Google Drive. So let me show you how it works. Let's say we want to schedule a Zoom meeting. We're here in the inbox, and you can see there's these different views. We'll go through what those do in a moment, but everything starts here in the inbox, which is in the meetings workflow section. Now, up here, what we can do is create a new record, and you can see it starts with a status of pending. And what we can do is choose meeting type. And in Zoom, there are 4 different meeting types. And we're not talking about webinars, we're just talking about meetings here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose scheduled meeting. Now, for a project, we can select a project or we can create a project. This is one that I already had created, but let's create a new project. We'll call this Meeting Central Demo. Now, before I hit return, one of the things I want to let you know this does is this creates a project folder on Google Drive. So when I hit return, it's going to trigger that automation. So I'm going to quickly go over to Google Drive and show you what happens. So I created that project and we're in Google Drive. Now this is a folder that the automation will stick that in. So you can see here, it made a folder called Meeting Central Demo. And what's going to happen in a future iteration of this concept that I'm working on is that any Zoom meeting associated with that project is going to be automatically filed in this folder here with a link heading back to Zoom, or back to Airtable. So let's continue on. So now in this concept here, we have the notion of a host, and typically you might just have one host if it's just your own Zoom account and you're making Zoom meetings under your account. But if you have a team of people, you'll be able to choose from the different team members, and that's who will be the host for this meeting. So I'm going to choose myself. We can give it a topic name. So this would be Meeting Central Demo. I can give it a description. This is really cool. And we get to choose the date. Let's say it's today. And for a time, let's say 5 p.m. and it's going to be 30 minutes. Okay, so now that I've set up this meeting, what I can do is I can look at these other views here. So we have Kanban and calendar. These are the 2 views where we might want to look at next. So let's go to Kanban. You can see here it's got a pending, schedule meeting, and meeting scheduled columns. This is under meeting scheduled. This is one that I've already scheduled before, but this is the one we just created, and it's in a pending state. Now, if we look at my Zoom account, right here, you can see there's nothing scheduled, no meeting scheduled. Enjoy your day. So if we take this pending meeting and we drag it over on schedule meeting, that's going to use the Zoom API to basically schedule this meeting. And you can see what happened is it moved automatically over to meeting scheduled. Meeting Central Demo is over here. So now if I go back to Zoom, there's the meeting right there. Now we can also look at this under the calendar view. And if I go to calendar, you can see there's the meeting right there for today. And you get basically a calendar view of all the different meetings that you've scheduled. So that might come in handy. Now, under scheduled view here, we have these different, these are the meetings that have been scheduled. And so they moved from the inbox view to the scheduled view. So if I go back to inbox, now that that meeting that we created was scheduled, it got moved into the scheduled section. So one other thing is we have hosts. If I click on Donovan, you can see that this is the meeting, and I have a limited view here because I've filtered it by host. You can see where host is exactly Donovan, and I've hidden all these other fields from view because all I really want to see is the status, topic, and time for this, but you could adjust it to be any kind of information you want. And if you have more people, excuse me, on your team, then this host section will have each of those people listed here. And it might be a handy way to be able to see which meetings are scheduled for which host. Now, I want to show you a couple of other pieces of this Airtable. We have the projects, we have hosts, and we have meeting types. So if we go into projects, this is where we can see all the different projects we've created. And I've only got 2 right now, but those correspond, like I said, to this Google Drive folder. So you don't have to create a folder anymore. And in a future iteration, like I mentioned, the Zoom meetings themselves are going to be automatically downloaded after the Zoom meeting happens and placed directly in this folder. And the nice thing is that we have direct links to those folders as well already. So we just made this meeting Central demo. And if I click on the link, it takes me straight to that folder. So we can jump straight to it. But in the other meetings, once I wire up the rest of this solution, you'll actually have a link directly to, for the scheduled meetings, they're going to have a link directly to the recording itself. So this is one more thing I forgot to mention here is when a meeting is scheduled, you'll see that we have these 3 new links here. So we have meeting ID gets put back into the Airtable ID. The join URL gets put back into the Airtable, as well as the registration link. So these are key pieces of information you're going to want to share with attendees. The hosts table, it just has me for now, but as I mentioned, this is where you would add your various team members. And then we have meeting types. Now, these are the 4 different types that we saw earlier when I was in this section here, scheduled meeting. You see instant, scheduled, recurring meeting with no fixed time, recurring meeting with a fixed time. So this is what it's doing when you select a meeting type here, is it's referring to this table in Airtable. Because when you're talking to the Zoom API, you can't just use instant meeting or scheduled meeting. You can't use those words. It is expecting a type ID of 1, 2, 3, or 8. So this is our way of saying the user can choose something that makes sense, like scheduled meeting, but when the make automation happens, it's going to send the number 2, which the Zoom API understands to be a scheduled meeting. So I just want to finish this by showing in Make, these are the automations here, which we'll go into in more depth in a future video. But as of right now, we've got a couple of Make scenarios. Airtable status change, that's what schedules the Zoom meeting. And then a new project, that's what creates the folder on Google Drive. And as you can see, I'm working on the next automation, which is once the recording is completed, it uploads it to that Google Drive. And then in the Airtable, we do have a few automations here as well. So we have schedule a meeting and new project. These automations essentially just send a webhook to these Make automations to kick them off. So it's pretty simple as far as the automations are concerned. One other thing I'm working on is I'm creating some interfaces here. So when you go to new meeting, you can fill it out in a form type of display versus like we did when we were in the inbox and we did it more just kind of field by field. I want to have options for however the user wants to do this. So that's about it as far as what I'm working on, this concept called Meeting Central. It's designed just for Zoom sessions right now, but I've got plans to open this up to perhaps WebEx, at least Zoom and WebEx for now, maybe some other platforms. It depends on what kind of API access the other solutions have available. But for now, it's mainly focused on Zoom. So one of the things that I want to mention is that in future videos, I'm going to be building this out from scratch and sharing that with you, and we're going to go through it together. So if this is something that interests you, uh, keep updated on the channel and we can build this together. You're going to need a Zoom account. You're going to need an Airtable account. You're going to need a Make account at the very least to get this done. And then I also want to mention that the thing that we build together will be the kind of core Meeting Central solution that anybody can use. And I encourage you to. It's going to be a way to basically make Zoom sessions quicker and more efficiently, and to have the recordings automatically downloaded to Google Drive. Really useful kind of core things like that. But then in the future, I am going to be releasing an advanced version of Meeting Central where we have the ability to have multiple hosts and even some AI integrations that I have planned, like transcription and meeting summaries, and potentially even more ideas like that. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting. And if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, stick around, and I look forward to building Meeting Central with you in a future video.